Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a video I've been thinking about for a little while now. I just turned 34 yesterday and I've been thinking a lot about my healthy habits, especially as a mom. I have two young children. Finding time to take care of myself can be hard. So I kind of want to share with you guys a little bit about how I form my healthy habits and the healthy habits I keep in order to show up the best I can as a mom. So I don't really have a big plan for this video. I thought I would just sit outside and chit chat with you guys. I think you're gonna be seeing a lot of my outdoor space in the coming weeks. We're getting some work done in our bedroom where I film 90% of my videos. So you might see me outside a lot more, but that is great because the weather is super nice. So I would love to sit outside and film more. So anyway, let's get into the healthy habits. The first healthy habit is something I've been doing for most of my life, which is lifting weights, especially heavy weights. I was an athlete growing up. I learned to lift weights at a young age, and it really has kept me healthy and strong and feeling my best. I'm not talking about light little weights or Pilates arms, which I do some Pilates every now and then, and I walk and all that stuff, which I'll get into. But I'm talking about lifting really heavy weights. I had an injury a few months back, so I kind of had to start over. But I squat 125 pounds. I deadlift about the same. I do bench presses. All those kind of big, heavy compound lifts really help you feel your best in life, I think. But I also think that finding a workout that you enjoy is super important. So for me, I really enjoy lifting heavy weights. So it makes me happy, and so it's what I choose to do. If you don't love lifting heavy weights, you probably won't stick with it, but it is super important. If you can get yourself into weightlifting, it is super important for muscle, bone density, all that stuff as you get older and age. So it is super important. And I personally love lifting heavy weights. Kind of going along with that is I try to get as many steps in my day as I can. I usually take a walk once a day. I have a walking pad, I have access to a gym, but I also just walk around the neighborhood. I try to get 8,000 to 10,000 steps. It's never perfect. It's never, exactly 10,000 steps every single day or more. Some days it's less, some days it's more. But those extra steps and just moving my body really helps my mental health, my physical health, all that stuff. I just find the more I move my body, the better I feel. So I try to get as many steps in as possible. And with little kids, it's actually pretty easy. You tend to be chasing them around and stuff. So I try to get as many steps in as I can, as well as do other forms of light workouts and mobility and stretching. I find that Pilates and yoga and stretching and all that is also super important to keep my body healthy and strong. Like I said, I had an injury a few months back, and it definitely was a lack of strength training and mobility and all that stuff. So combining that with my weightlifting is super important, especially as we get older. Mobility is so important. Definitely do not skip your mobility before or after your workouts. Is definitely super important. I spend about 5 minutes before and 10 minutes after my workout. So it's not a super long amount of time, but I find it's super important for injury prevention and longevity as we work out. The other thing I find super important is my water intake. I live in a very dry climate as well, so trying to get as much water in as I can is super important. I aim for about a gallon a day. Again, it's never perfect. Some days are more, some days are less, but when you live in such a dry climate, water is so important. So definitely make that a priority. And I put things in my water like water flavorings and stuff to help get my water intake. I drink seltzer waters. It doesn't have to be just plain water. As long as you're hydrating yourself, that's good. So if you need a hydration little pack or flavoring in there to get through with it, it doesn't matter. So I would highly recommend those. Kind of switching gears, I think it's super important to also take care of your mental health. So I do things like journal and meditate pretty much daily. I write down my gratitudes, all that kind of stuff. I know it sounds a little, woo-woo, but I really do find that my mental health is so much better when I take the time to meditate and journal as many days of the week as I can. I follow guided meditations on Apple Fitness Plus. I think some other apps have them too. I just find it easier for myself to meditate if I'm following a guided meditation instead of just trying to like sit there and meditate by myself. So if that's like ever been an issue for you, I find that that really helps, is those guided meditations. But as simple as like writing down 3 things I'm grateful for that day really just like shifts my mindset. So I find that really helps my mental health. The next thing is about nutrition. I really try to focus on my fiber and my protein. As long as I'm getting enough fiber and enough protein in my day, I feel fuller and more energized and happier and satisfied. So any way you can find to get in fiber and protein is super important. Like even I drink my little protein shake, I have protein bars, but we eat a lot of chicken and fish and red meat, like lean ground beef and stuff. But I always make sure I'm pairing that with some sort of fruit or vegetable that I can get my fiber intake to. I just find it so important. I feel like if I don't think, especially fiber, protein's a little bit easier for me, but for fiber, if I don't think about getting fiber in my day, I don't get enough of it. And then my energy levels and my fullness and my satiation is just not as good. And then my last healthy habit that I am religious about, my husband will tell you that I am super rigorous about because I wake up so early and I like to keep my routines consistent, is my bedtime routine. I keep my bedtime routine the same pretty much every single day of the week. Sometimes the weekends it's a little bit later, but I do the same things every night. I turn off my TV the same amount of time before bed every single night. And I just try to keep it as consistent as possible because sleep for me is so important. If I don't get enough sleep, I don't feel my best. So in order to get my best night's sleep and my best rest, I have to make sure that I'm prepping the night before for that. If I don't have those routines set and down, I do not feel good the next day and I don't sleep well. So if you want a full like bedtime, nighttime routine, let me know. I can definitely film that as well. But these are really the habits and the things that I focus on to feel my best, especially as I get a little bit older and I have kids and want to keep up with them. I have 2 young boys. I want to make sure I have enough energy and stamina to keep up with them and be as healthy as possible for them as they grow up as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this quick little chat with me about health and lifestyle. If you want any more details on this stuff, let me know. I'd be happy to like dive into some more details on like specific topics if you want, but let me know. I would love to chat with you guys more about this stuff. Don't forget to subscribe. We'd love to have you join our little adventure family here. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. So I'll see you in my next adventure. Bye.